Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the entrance of the host for today's anniversary program and remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the 118th Honor Guard, the singing of the national anthem by Mr. James Rogers, and the invocation given by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Bradley Green.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let us pray. Lord, this morning we thank you for all the folks in this room that you've brought here, distinguished people among us, folks that you have used, Lord, in a mighty way in our Air Force to do incredible things, and folks that have been prepared and trained here at this very place. Lord, you've used the TEC to touch our lives in so many ways. And today, Lord, with awe and gratitude, we want to thank you for all that you've done through all the staff members who've worked here, through all the students who've come through this place. Lord, we thank you for our history and for the legacy that's been handed down to us who have the privilege to serve here today. I do pray that you'd bless those who serve on staff currently. I pray that you'd bless our students who are here taking classes, that we would continue to keep up this tradition of offering the best education and training possible, Lord. We pray that you would guide us as we celebrate these 50 years, and we ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, 118th Honor Guard, Mr. Rogers, and Chaplain Green.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
We would now like to introduce additional special guests who have joined us today. Please hold your applause until the end. Major General Max Haston, the Adjutant General, State of Tennessee.
Again, please hold your applause to the end. Major General Darrell Boack, Adjutant General, State of Nebraska.
Brigadier General Wendy Johnson, Assistant Adjutant General for the Air, State of Nebraska.
Brigadier General Russell Ponder, Director, NGB A4.
Colonel Jason Glass, Assistant Adjutant General for Air, State of Tennessee.
Colonel Thomas Cawthon, Commander, 134th Air Refueling Wing. Colonel Lee Hartley, Vice Commander, 134th Air Refueling Wing.
Chief Master Sergeant Richard King, Command Chief, 1st Air Force.
Chief Master Sergeant Mark Harris, Senior Enlisted Leader, State of Tennessee.
Chief Master Sergeant Ty Bingham, Senior Enlisted Leader, State of Nebraska.
Chief Master Sergeant David Bullard, Command Chief, 177th Air Refueling Wing. The I.G. Brown Training and Education Center has always valued the legacy of those who've come before us, and today we would like to offer a special welcome to our distinguished guests. And again, hold your applause till after we're done. First, the former TEC commanders in attendance. The first commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Ed Morrissey.
The third commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Larry Martin.
The fourth commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Greg Mesiolik. The eighth commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Michael Waggett. The 10th commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Brad McCree. The 7th commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Barbara Eager. The 9th commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Colonel Retired Rich Howard. And the 11th commander of the I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, Brigadier General Retired Timothy Cathcart. Next, we would like to welcome the former command chiefs of the Air National Guard in attendance. The second command chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Lynn Alexander.
The fourth Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Richard Green.
The fifth Command Chief of the Air National Guard and fourth Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Richard Moon.
The sixth Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Ed Brown. The seventh Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Gary Broadbent.
And the ninth Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Richard Smith.
Now we'd like to welcome the former enlisted commandants of the Chief Master Sergeant Paul H. Langford EPME Center in attendance. Please hold your applause. The second Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant George Vitzum.
The ninth Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Arthur Hafner.
The 10th Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Joseph Thornell.
The 11th Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Deborah Davidson.
And the 14th Commandant and the current Command Chief of the 136th Air Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Retired, Chief Master Sergeant Edward Walden Sr.
Hi, Chief Walden.
Would all remaining former Training and Education Center members please stand to be recognized?
Would the current Training and Education Center faculty and staff please stand to be recognized at this time? Don't be shy. Come on. Come on.
We also welcome guests watching remotely through the Warrior Network and Facebook Live.
You may have noticed the small table as you entered the room today. It is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of the profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called prisoners of war, missing in action, POW, MIA, but we call them brothers and sisters. Here at the TEC, we honor Chief Master Sergeant Paul H. Langford, the first enlisted commandant of the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy and Leadership School from 1968 until his retirement in 1981. Chief Langford began his military career in 1939 as a member of the Army Air Corps. During World War II, he served in the Philippines with the 27th Bomb Group until his capture by the Japanese. He was a survivor of the Bataan Death March and spent 3.5 years as a prisoner of war. Chief Langford served in uniform for over 42 years and continued addressing students until his death in 2008. His service record is worthy of emulation by all current and future non-commissioned officers. Today, we remember Chief Langford and honor his service during this celebration.
We are honored to welcome to the stage our host for today's event, Colonel Carrie R. Lovely, the commander of the IG Brown Training and Education Center. As leader of the Air National Guard's Primary Force Development Center, she is responsible for delivering enlisted professional military education and professional continuing education to more than 4,000 in-resident service members per year, as well as 50,000 more via blended or distributed learning methodologies. She is also responsible for the development and delivery of high-quality media and strategic messages through the television production studios of TEC TV and the Warrior Network satellite broadcast system, which reaches all Air National Guard locations around the globe. Colonel Lovely, would you please come forward for opening remarks?
Good morning, and welcome to Miggy Tyson and our beautiful TEC campus. General Rice, Chief Anderson, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak at our event today and celebrate our 50th anniversary. Truly appreciate it. This is an exciting day for past and present faculty, staff, and students. And I'm so pleased that you can join us in celebrating 50 years of a tradition. I've been here a little over a year, and in the last few months, I really enjoyed getting to learn the history, the rich history of the TEC as we were preparing for this event. There is one person that I want to recognize within that rich history, and that's Colonel Morrissey, or as we affectionately call him, Number 1. He was the first commander of the TEC, and it was his vision that set the cornerstones to which this organization was built. I've had the privilege of him mentoring me for the last year, and we're truly blessed to have him here with us today. So I've been here for about a year. Oh, they saw that already, sorry. So we're going to roll a video in a bit to show some of the heritage. So I'm not going to go into the details of that, but there is one thing that I did want to talk about, and that's why the TEC was originally created. And that was to provide professional development for our Air National Guard enlisted corps. Additionally, Over a 38-year period of time, the TEC graduated over 14,000 commissioned officers. And I'm proud to say that I've graduated both from the enlisted training and the officer training. Now, most of us know that TEC stands for Training and Education Center, right? But I think it stands for something else also. It's talented, it's evolutionary, and it's collaborative. Talented. That's what drives the excellence in this organization, is its people. There's not a day that that goes by that I'm not amazed on whether it's the faculty in the classroom, or whether it's the video production, or whether it's our mission support division. This staff has passion, and it shows. And I think it's that passion that has evolutionized this organization and kept it relevant. As you saw, and depending how long it's been since you've been here, we have fairly new buildings. The curriculum's been updated. But I think what makes the TEC unique is we've been able to adapt to those changes and provide what is needed in the Air National Guard as far as force development. In the last 12 months, we have had 11,000 total force, sister service, interagency, and international students come through our campus. To me, that epitomizes collaboration. Additionally, we're collaborating with AETC to update ancillary and pre-deployment training. The goal is to reduce and save time for our airmen. We're also working preliminarily with Maxwell, the Barnes Center, and the E-School. We are developing a new platform, or hope to develop a new platform, to deliver education and training in the future, to capitalize on some of that technology that we've got in this in-house, to include our broadcast capability, whether that's satellite or online. I'm excited to see where the next 50 years of this organization goes, and I am confident that we are growing leaders that will take it into the future, and they will in turn do the same for the next generation. So rest assured, I think we're in good hands, and I think we should roll back time a little and see that video and see how we got here. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Lovely. At this time, we will continue today's ceremony with a special presentation highlighting the TEC's legacy of leadership through education. Please direct your attention to the screen.
"50 years of education. 50 years of excellence." The I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, a legacy of leadership through education. While visiting units throughout the country, General I.G. Brown, former director of the Air National Guard, noted that strong units not only had strong officer management, but equally strong enlisted leadership. Conversely, those marginal units he witnessed often lacked the strength of enlisted leadership. Upon visiting the Air Defense Command's NCO Academy in 1966, he saw a highly motivated, fired-up, educated group of NCOs who had just graduated and were eager to apply their recently acquired knowledge. That group of NCOs inspired General Brown to come up with a goal to make the Air National Guard an outstanding organization throughout the nation. He realized that professional military education would be a big part of achieving that goal. On his return trip, he challenged his staff to find the resources, whatever it took, to start an Air National Guard NCO Academy. Nestled in the scenic foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, They found McGee-Tyson Air National Guard Base, home of the 134th Air Refueling Group. The facilities General Brown needed to support his undertaking were here, and easily accessible for guest speaker support from the National Guard Bureau. Applicants from around the country were screened for faculty positions, while Chief Master Sergeant Paul H. Langford was hand-picked by General Brown to become the Deputy Commandant for the new NCO Academy staff.
Chief Langford was one of those selections that had to have been somewhat fate-driven. I can't imagine anyone else who would have been more qualified or would have been more successful than Chief Master Sergeant Paul Langford.
Major Ed Morrissey, a young field-grade officer from Texas, was also selected as the Academy's first commandant.
His advice was very, very simple. He said, make this work. And little did I know the extensive make this work would spread to.
From its very first class in 1968, graduates of the NCO Academy were taught the skills that they needed to strengthen their leadership abilities, thereby creating a stronger, more prepared Air National Guard. Those graduates went forth to become key enlisted leaders in their wings, states, and all across the Air National Guard.
Attitudes were being changed here, where they may have been coasting back home. That turned around, and the feedback that we got from their supervisors and from their commanders made ensure that we never lacked for having folks come here. And that was extremely well gratifying.
In 1970, two significant events took place at the schoolhouse. First, the NCO Academy graduated its 1,000th student in Class 71-1. And second, the National Guard Bureau approved the establishment of the Air National Guard's Leadership School.
We brought in 4 instructors. We had to write our own lesson plans, write our own test questions. We had to bring the students in, and indoctrinate the students in the school, set up their leadership. I thought it was a very effective school.
April 1971 saw the start of the Air National Guard's Officer Preparatory Academy, later known as the Academy of Military Science and now simply referred to as Officer Training School. In 2009, the course moved to its current location at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama.
The staff under Colonel Morrissey was absolutely superb. We had an outstanding experience here. Certainly there was a lot of discipline.
Students soon forgot about the makeshift classrooms in the hangar, the Spartan living conditions in the dormitory, and the hard folding chairs placed in the renovated gymnasium. New construction made life better, but brought with it a number of challenges. There was a total transformation, and it all started with the construction of the classroom and the first dorm, Building 410. The real challenge, though, was keeping the school operational for AMS and the NCO Academy while the demolition and construction was going on. Construction continues to alter the landscape here at the TEC with the recent completion of Building 418, McKinley Hall, and continued renovations to the existing dormitories that were built throughout the 90s. The I.G. Brown Training and Education Center is the premier center for the development of career servicemen and women, providing shared common experiences for all members of the Department of Defense, governmental agencies, and coalition partners. The TEC's Professional Continuing Education Division functions as the Air National Guard's clearinghouse for skill enhancement training, ancillary training, and courseware review. From their Community College of the Air Force accredited instructor certification program to numerous video productions and interactive web-based courses, TEC's Professional Continuing Education Division is widely regarded as the Air National Guard's foremost institution for personal and professional development. Within the division is TEC TV, the Air National Guard's high-definition television broadcast center. In 1995, they added the Warrior Network, a satellite communication system capable of transmitting content all across the world. One great benefit of the technology was for students who could not attend the enlisted schools in residence. It offered a unique alternative through our blended distance learning programs. By using satellite and terrestrial network technology, our on-campus high-definition studios were able to broadcast the Langford Center's Satellite Airman Leadership School and NCO Academy to classrooms around the nation. While we no longer broadcast those particular courses these days, the Warrior Network is still a viable option for broadcasting courses and informational briefings to units around the globe. In 2012, we also completed a $2.4 million upgrade to our media broadcast studio, further establishing the TEC as the Air National Guard's primary force developer.
It's the crown jewel of the Air National Guard. It's a very positive, productive educational facility that not only takes care of the school businesses, but troubled or challenged AFSCs that need additional help. We provide assistance to rectify the challenge.
The Paul H. Langford EPME Center still provides enlisted professional military education as it did in 1968. Their mission: to engage, train, educate, and inspire enlisted warriors to meet the evolving mission needs.
As a two-time graduate who went on to become the commander of the TEC, I can say without a doubt the enduring legacy of the Air National Guard Training and Education Center is its adaptability and flexibility throughout the years. It's just as relevant today with an annual throughput of 4,000 students as it was when it started 50 years ago with a few hundred.
Thanks to the vision of Major General Brown, thousands of men and women have been given the opportunity to excel with educational experiences that have impacted their lives and their careers. The IG Brown Training and Education Center, providing a legacy of leadership through education.
Thank you to Master Sergeant Timothy Canan and the Professional Continuing Education Division for highlighting our historical accomplishments over the past 50 years.
We are honored to welcome to the stage our guest speakers for today's event, Lieutenant General L. Scott Rice and Chief Master Sergeant Ron Anderson. As the Director of the Air National Guard, General Rice is responsible for formulating, developing, and coordinating all policies, plans, and programs affecting more than 105,000 Guard members and civilians in more than 90 wings, 175 geographically separated units across 213 locations throughout the 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. Chief Anderson is the 12th Command Chief Master Sergeant of the Air National Guard. He represents the highest level of enlisted leadership and is the principal advisor to the Director of the Air National Guard. He is responsible for matters influencing the health, morale, welfare, and professional development of more than 105,000 Air Guard members. That's my guy. Ladies and gentlemen, General Rice and Chief Anderson. Stage is yours.
Thank you.
Ready, boss?
Ready.
So, put that over there. All right, pick one. All right, there we go. So before we go any further, General Rice and I want to kind of go off script for a minute and take an opportunity to personally and professionally thank the leadership team here today. Colonel Lovely, Chief Hinckley, come up on stage for us. So, ma'am, Chief, we talk about this often, this coin, because it does represent something very personal to General Rice and I. It certainly represents General Rice's stars and my stripes, but it represents that 106,000 airmen that you both have been leading so very well. So on behalf of the entire Air National Guard, ma'am, I just wanted to say my personal and professional thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for everything. It's wonderful to see you.
And one of the things we're very proud of is we alternate giving out this coin. It's one coin, same coin, and so it's my honor to give you, Chief, on, I believe, your last day here. Is that true? You're on a road trip, and it's going to end somewhere up in Alaska? Well, congratulations and well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Excellent.
So Chief Hinckley's leaving us literally, I think his car's running in the parking lot. He has the distinct honor to go lead the men and women, the soldiers and the airmen out in the state of Alaska to be their state senior enlisted leader. So we're pretty excited for you, man, and just a round of applause. Thank you for what you've done over the year you've been here. So I understand very deeply that the leadership team enables an entire cast of characters, an entire ecosystem to make something like this happen. It's not unlike PME. To set up an event like this really takes so many people in the background, and I recognize that. Ma'am, Chief, for what you've been able to do to put together this team so that we could celebrate today is incredible. So to all of you who are behind the scenes, I see you up there. To the folks that were here late last night, I saw them too as I walked by. This morning, very early when I was at the gym at 5 o'clock and there were people running around in here. To every single one of you that had something to do with us being able to celebrate 50 years, thank you. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for the many, many months and months and months of work that you did. It's an incredible thing, and I'm eternally grateful for it. Thank you. You know, boss, I know we talked a little bit about how this was going to go this morning, but I'm going to deviate just a little bit more. I'm going to take a little bit of command chief privilege here for a moment. You know, so yesterday afternoon, I arrived from Illinois. I got to spend the day out talking to some staff sergeants, tech sergeants, and master sergeants doing leadership development, one of the things that I love to do, nothing more. And I had the opportunity to fly in, get comfortable for a little bit, and stayed in Chief Carbon's room, which is kind of cool. I get reminded of my leaders when I come back to the TEC. And got ready and went to a great event last night for the NCOAGA, and had an opportunity to celebrate with them, which was wonderful. But what was really interesting is I got in the car last night and was driving over to the event with my new exec. Where's Tech Sergeant Perez? There she is up front. So Sergeant Perez is my new travel exec. I stole her from Wisconsin, and I got in the car with her last night, and she said, you really like this place, don't you, Chief? I said, I do. She said, looks like it feels like home. I said, it does. And I will tell you that when I come back here, I am truly home. And you know, maybe it's the Smoky Mountains in the background. Maybe it's this pretty amazing campus. You know, maybe it's the friends that I developed when I came here for the NCOA. Maybe it's all of you. I would tell you it's all of that, but it's so very much more. And Colonel Lovely talked about that. It's the history. It's the history and the long line of my heroes, my mentors, and my friends who have been a part of this organization for 50 years. Like my mentors and my friends, the former senior enlisted leaders and the former command chiefs of the Air National Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, I am forever in your debt. And if you do me the great honor of standing up one last time so I could recognize you, I'd appreciate that. So our former Air National Guard command chiefs and senior enlisted advisors, if you could stand up for me. Thanks, Chief. It's your leadership, your mentorship, and your friendship that enabled me to borrow these stripes for a little bit, and I appreciate it and owe you a debt of gratitude I will never be able to repay. And I also understand that you paved the way for every single one of us that are here that wear stripes on our sleeves, so thank you. I would tell you it's much more than those folks. It's leaders that I know personally that have grown and mentored with me, and they all have a tie to this place right here. Chief Master Sergeant retired Kevin Thomas. Chief Master Sergeant retired Mary Burris. General retired Tim Cathcart. Colonel Dave Meese, Chief Master Sergeant retired Phyllis Aubry, forever my chief. Senior Master Sergeant retired Travis Gray. My good friend, Chief Master Sergeant Ed Walden. The one chief that reminds me to stay strong every time I hear from him or talk to him or see him, my good friend and longtime mentor, Chief Master Sergeant retired Joe Thornell. Chief Master Sergeant Deb Davison. Chief Master Sergeant Mike Kennedy retired, my good friend and longtime mentor, Colonel Kerry Lovely. That's just a small list of the people that have influenced my life and have helped me become who I am as the Air National Guard Command Chief. But I would tell you much more than that. It's a developed senior enlisted leader, and every single one of those folks had a piece of this. They were instructors, they were cadre, they were here as students, they were my friends and mentors. So thank you to every single one of them. Every single one of those leaders, those airmen, laid a brick in this foundation, the foundation of this hallowed ground, sir. You know, the TEC, as Colonel Lovely talked about, was born out of necessity. It was born out of the need to find a way to develop enlisted leaders in the Air National Guard as they try to find balance between their family, their duty, their careers, and equally important, their development. You know, it started as a standalone Air National Guard schoolhouse. It's adapted, grown, and evolved into what it is today. A total force, center of influence, focused on the future of enlisted PME. We, the Air National Guard Senior Enlisted Force, are an integral part of the total force and the joint force because of this hallowed ground. The I.G. Brown Training and Education Center, forever a legacy of leadership through education, and I owe it an eternal debt of gratitude. Sir?
Thank you, Chief. 50 years is a long time. We've been on a lot of...
Hey, I just turned 50 today. You're not making fun of me, are you? Not today, but this year.
Man, you're old.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty exciting, this business we're in. And certainly we're on a journey. And I would venture to say we're on this infinite journey for our pursuit of excellence in all we do. And so I want to talk about three things real quick, and they involve people and who they are and where they are. One, where we are today. You already heard from the leadership, from Colonel Lovely, from our good chief who's on his road trip here, just about to depart, Chief Hinckley, and I really do congratulate you both on all you're doing for all of our airmen. Well done. Well done. There's also one that's in the room that inspires us today, too, and he's driving me crazy. Santa Claus over here, so I really appreciate you being here as well. Thank you very much, Santa Claus, for being here. Out of you three comes something Walt Disney told us. You know, he said, all your dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. That's really profound, what he said. Because in each and every one of you, I don't care how small or how big, is dreams, hopes, and aspirations for the future. That is what we drive for today. That's into your hands. We place our youth, our best, our brightest, and actually, in some cases, our worst. And you take that, the best and the worst out of each and every one of us, and mold it into a team that we're on this never-ending journey for the pursuit of excellence. You talk about 10,000 people, 11,000 people that you affect a year through this education institution. I venture to say that's 1/10 of what we are responsible for. Over 100,000 we're responsible for. I venture to say that as we evolve this weapon system called the Training and Education Command, or Center, as we evolve this center, this weapon system, I believe we can affect 100%, 100,000 of our force every year through things you do. So now, how do we get there faster and funnier, and how do we get to the future? And that's a real challenge to do that, in effect, because we have all sorts of tools of connectivity, productivity. Shoot, I'm walking around with my, this is my folder for my paperwork. It's my iPad. I'm supposed to be able to use this and type things on it, but actually it ends up holding all my pieces of paper together, so I don't lose them. But to get faster and funnier on that, it's your responsibility, and we place a lot of responsibility on you, and I thank you for all you've done as a teamwork to get this. So now let me delve back into my second group, and that's the past, and what they've done for us. The past talks about what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And Oliver Wendell Holmes coined that phrase because he talks about things like history turns into heritage, heritage turns into culture, culture is what drives these balance between those things that we hold dear, our core values, integrity, service, excellence, and I venture to say even respect is a part of that as well. And so these people in the past, I'm still in awe and I'm still a little traumatized by them, these two people I'm going to talk about, because when I was a little kid, I used to ask my mom, of all people, because it was my mom who was in uniform. She was a World War II nurse for the U.S. Army. My grandmother did service in uniform as well 20 years prior to that. It's the ladies that affected me deeply, because my father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather did not serve in the military. They're all engineers and did their part and their role in the development of our country, but it did not include military service. The women in my life have influenced me greatly. And so I say this to my mom as a little kid, Mom, there's that name on that building. Who is that? Is that something I need to aspire to and have that name on that building? And she says, no, yes, all in one sentence. Yes, no, because those are people who have passed away. They have died in service of our country, and their name is memorialized forever on that building. So when I walk out of the Edwin Brown room over here and I say, wow, I wish I had an opportunity to meet number 6. I read about him. He's the most inspirational guy. We've testimonialized his name forever and put his name on this room. I couldn't believe how honored I was to stay in there. And I walked out and there's Ed Brown walking down the street, Chief Brown, and I had a heart attack because I thought I just saw a ghost. And he came up to me and he said, how you doing there, brother? Because we have a distinguishedly white demure of our hairdo, and we tend to be brothers in arms in this pursuit of excellence that we're after. And I'm still traumatized every time I see you. I'm not sure if it's really you, or if you're a saint, or you're here to terrorize me, but I shudder in your presence, because I'm truly honored to have you and the other command chiefs here, because you represent all that's great in all of us. And I thank you for being a part of this. And the other one, too, is Ed Morrissey. Ed, where are you? Are you still here? Ed, there you are. Please give me a round of applause for these two gentlemen. 50 years of doing this, Ed. What do you think? We on a good journey? Good path? Do you know there's an event here, this graduation that we do here, and I don't think, Ed, you've missed one, have you? Ooh, I can really talk about him now.
You missed one.
Oh, he missed one. Can you imagine 50 years of graduation, and you've been here to encourage our youth to pull that greatness out of each and every one, and whatever they think they can't do, you bring to a higher level. Thanks for saying that. Wait, no. Here, give him the microphone. I'd like him to repeat that. That was good. You're on the spot, Ed.
They see so much of me because when I retired in 1984, the only time I would come back here is on invitation, because I'm a strong believer in every man has its day. But then the 6th Commander, Richard Burst, asked me if I would come and set up a historical committee of gray hairs to be helpful. And we came, we did, we were. And what really impressed me is what I had just mentioned, that the continuing staff were just dedicated to maintaining the level and raggedy-ass militia schoolhouse set. And I was really impressed with that. And the commandants and the sergeants and NCOs have just really continued. And the commanders have done magnificent. I'm not a big enthusiast about only having outstanding commanders for 2 years, but I understand the Air Force sets that this is known by the Air National Guard field commanders as the crown jewel of the Air National Guard, and that's the way it's going to stay.
Well said. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now I move on to our future. I alluded to the fact that I think we have the technology, the ability, the energy, and even the foresight to drive and be able to educate, says it right there, train, engage, train, educate, and inspire over 100,000 of our airmen in the Air National Guard, over 325,000 in the active duty, and almost 70,000 in the reserves, and 170,000 plus civilians in our Air Force. I think we can do it. And if you add on our partners across the world, the influence, the effect, and the ability to touch humanity from this center is limitless. I think we can do it. But it does take a group of people to help this current leadership drive us into the future as we stand on the strengths and the bedrock of our legacy and our past and our leadership. It takes people like General Max Hastings, General Darrell Bohack, two of our illustrious adjutant generals that are here partaking in this event. General Johnson, General Ponder from my staff in Washington, and even General Tim Cathcart, who is all here to be a part of this future. If you've been around somebody like Max Hastings very long, you realize that you have in our midst an extremely intelligent, extremely witty, extremely articulate, and in some cases very humorous individual that really helps us get to a better place. He continually tells me this phrase: when your only tool is a hammer, all problems start to look like nails. And it makes me wonder, am I really here nailing all the people? Am I hammering them into the ground? Or am I pulling them out to a different place? And that has nothing to do with the nail, as I focus on. It's really what's in your hand as the tool. That's the message he's giving me. We have so many tools in our toolbox. That's what Engage, Train, Educate, Inspire gives us, a culture of being able to innovate. There's a couple words we've been using lately and across our military and across our system, things like readiness, things like innovation. I think those words are getting overused. You know, we constantly talk about what is readiness, what does it mean, how do we measure it, how do we get it better, how do we get it more lethal. Those are very important things, and we have to focus in on what's important, and it's the tools to be able to be adaptable, flexible, to be able to take on any challenge. And those tools include innovation. Innovation is at the heart of education, training, and experience that we have. Because innovation means I can enter into a situation, recognize a problem, develop a solution, and fail. Innovation allows me to pick up the parts and pieces, use all those tools I have, hammers included, and move on, move out, learn from my experience, educate myself, train myself to do better next time. That piece of learning that we experience through all spectrums of what this center does is the message that Max Hastings gives us all, the inspiration he gives us all. Because the end, if you were there last night, Daryl Bohack talked about the why. Why are we doing this? And it's for our people. It's for our people to get the best out of them. Recognize their weaknesses, marginalize their cracks in character, and strengthen their potential. That's important. And why do we want the best out of our people? Because I venture to say, if you look up here on the wall, and it talks about the Airman's Creed. It talks about our airmen. It talks about our airmen as warriors. But I venture to say there's one level higher than that this alludes to, that I'm after. And I'm after that airman, that warrior, that guardian of freedom and justice, my nation's sword and shield, its sentry and avenger. I defend my country with my life. That life is a weapon system. It's a weapon system for freedom, for truth, for respect, for justice. That's the infinite conflict I am in, that you are all in with me. We've got to get there, and it's a journey we're on forever. The reason why it is important is because I need to instill that in our youth, our airmen, our warriors, our kids, our friends, and our future. Thank you very much. Thanks for 50 years of service.
I wanted to give both of you a small token of our appreciation. One of our members designed this coin, and the front part is up on the screen. So celebrating our 50th anniversary, and on the back side it has Patriot Hall, which is our headquarters building and where EPME is, and the Smoky Mountains. So a little something to remember the event. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.